Okay, everybody, we're live. Today is Thursday, October 3rd, and we're very happy to have Mr. Dirk Gibson on from the Treasure Games. You guys all know about it. You all been talking about it. So thank you for coming on, answering some questions for us.
Thank you for having me.
All right.
Yeah, you've been a little busy. I've been seeing some press conferences. They were awesome.
I just barely got out of there before the hurricane hit.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow. Okay. So we talk a lot about treasure hunts on this little YouTube channel, but yours by far is the biggest monetary wise. So tell us a little bit about why you're doing it, what maybe the end goal is. And then I know, so our questions may be a little bit different because our questions are kind of from treasure hunter specific. So there's going to be a lot of details they want to know. But yeah, just give us a little background on you and why you're doing what you're doing.
Yeah, for those who've watched all my videos, it's probably a pretty boring story by now, but the short version is that I am the kind of person who has visions and then I build companies with those visions. And so I've done that my whole life. I joke that my first business was I was 4 years old and I was selling Kool-Aid because I knew everyone else was selling lemonade. And so, from there, I had my paper route, and then I had my lawn mowing business. I've never stopped building companies my whole life, and so it's when you meet a true visionary person. My wife will tell you because she's been with me 40 years. He cannot. Once I get a vision in my head, I have to build it. I'm like, it's an obsession of mine, and so I had this idea that I could build a model that was better than the lottery for spreading wealth. And that's what's 25 years ago when someone won 100 million or whatever it was. I just thought that's terrible because everyone else lost, right? And so I was thinking to myself, I could build a model where 100 people could have won $1 million. That's a better model. So for 25 years or 30 years or whatever, it's been eating at me. And then I have this television production company that makes these TV shows, and I was trying to make a show for Netflix that they wanted, and I had this idea for this magic lamp thing, I called it at the time, and there was no way to do it as a TV show because I couldn't control when people would find it, but I wanted to give people 3 wishes. And in real life, I just thought that'd be really a cool show. And so we couldn't do it as a TV show. But when I was sitting with that idea, I remembered my lottery idea of spreading wealth better than they were spreading it. And so, you know how the mind works? Well, one day, staring out the window at my house here in Montana, I thought, oh, what if I created like a platform of games and maybe I put them in the form of treasure hunting games, and then I had a bunch of games and then people could win all the time as long as I didn't have one person winning 100 million. Mm-hmm. I could scale it to where 100 people could win $1 million each, and then I could have just a ton of games. So that vision happened 6 years ago when it all gelled, and I worked on it in secrecy for 5 years by myself, and then I launched it in January of this year. So that was the reason. It wasn't because I was like, hey, I can build a better treasure hunting platform. That wasn't it at all. It was more like I could build some sort of platform that could spread wealth. And it turned out to be treasure hunting was the best vehicle for me to do it.
So yeah, and it's super interesting, the app, because I think we're used to, as treasure hunters, you either get a book or a poem or a piece of paper and you look at it. I think the creativity of the app portion and the clues and how, and I know we talked a little offline before, you launched and you're doing these hunts, and these hunts range for people that are coming in for the first time. I've had a lot of people ask, like, is it real? We have an aha for you guys at the end because we actually know some of the winners. So this is going to help our community a lot that really were questioning. Yeah. Some people that are known in our community, we've met them at events. They seem to have won, but we'll get there in a second. So you have learned as you go rather than waiting. Mike and I always say we're ones that just do it. You're doing it and you're kind of learning as you go. But I'd like you to talk about kind of what's the vehicle. I know it's a poem, and then you have hints each day, and then you have this proximity circle. I'd love you to talk a little bit about that because I think that's the uniqueness that people are really enjoying.
Well, keep in mind, everything I say is driven by that vision of spreading wealth better than the lottery. So it doesn't matter, treasure hunting makes the most sense as a kind of a structure. But I would say the difference here is that I didn't go out and say, okay, how do treasure hunts work? I went out, I didn't go anywhere. I basically sat here and said, how do you build a successful business? and make it more of a game, like an adventure game, and have some entertainment, because that's my background. Like, I'm good at building businesses. I wanted to build a game format. I wanted there to be adventure, like people get out and have fun with their family and friends. So there's so much more going on than the traditional treasure hunt. And so for me, when I spent 5 years, what I was doing was trying to figure out, how do I have a strong platform? So if I want to add a second game after Wish Lamps, or a third game, or a fourth game, how do I build a platform where I can easily add these games and they can have different structures and rules? So when people even call it an app, the people, a small group that work with me, they know that drives me nuts, because I'm like, I didn't spend millions of dollars to build an app, all right? I built a platform. I have an app, but I'll tell you what, this is how you know it's not an app. If your phone crashes, you can still play my game. You don't need your phone.
Okay,
so,
that's why platform is a better.
Yeah, so it's just a semantic thing, but it drives me nuts because I spend so much money building it. I'm like, look, if I go to a country that's poor and they don't have phones, they can still play my game with a Starlink. They can play it on their computer. And so, and I'm older. I don't even like to play on my phone. I have an app and I don't even like playing on the phone. It's too small. So I play the whole thing on my big screen back here. I never play on my phone, but I have young people who work for me that do. So anyways, that was the whole thing, was, okay, Dirk's building a game and it's going to be fun and entertaining and have people uploading content and adventure. He's going to use the vehicle treasure hunting for these games. But don't think that they're just treasure hunts, because some will be more gamified, some will be less. And they're repeatable.
It's going to evolve. It's going to evolve.
Yeah, exactly. It is evolving. So after 5 years of spending money and patenting my innovations and really hating the technology part of it, because that's not my strength. And I was in 2 meetings a week for 5 years working with a tech team, and I hated all of it, because I thought I was building something to spread wealth, and I had to build a technology company to do it, I guess. So anyways, you think about it that way, it's like, oh, I get it. So I'm creative. That's what you do in TV, and what I've done in all my companies. Like, okay, so what if Forrest Finn was a good inspiration, right? I said, what if in the first game, which is Wish Lamps, because that was the TV show idea, I said, the first game I'm going to launch, I'm going to call it Wish Lamps. You find a lamp, you can choose cash for 3 wishes, right? Third wish has to be for someone else, because we're trying to spread wealth. Okay, that all makes sense so far. And I want to start with that game, but I'm going to bring other games. So I go, what should I do with that? Well, what if on day 1 we had a really hard poem like Forrest Finn did, right? But in our case, it's a little different because we're repeating ours game after game after game, not a one-time deal. So I said, let's have a really hard poem on day 1, and it would lead them to the location if they could decipher it. But please don't make it so easy they could decipher it, because I'll go out of money here real fast. So, so then in the first game I launched, I had 4 clues a day, and we couldn't keep up with that. And it was too much. It was too hard, because the only clue creators are live in this house, basically, and because of security reasons, and I can't afford to hire people yet. They can make them, so I have to keep it confidential. So we have 2 clues a day that come out. So you go, okay, I got the poem on day 1. It could lead me to the location if I decipher it. I got 2 poems a day, or 2 clues a day that come out. That's what you get for your subscription, by the way, is the poem and the 2 clues a day. That's it. Everything else you can buy if you want. There's hints for the harder clues. They're not hints for every clue. We rate the clues on a scale. So like if it's considered a 4 or 5 difficulty, we'll offer a hint. And you can buy it for $1.99. It's not expensive. You can get a hint if you need it. So you can buy that. It's not part of the subscription. That's just an add-on in-app purchase. The other thing you can buy is the Advantage clues. And for me, I was just thinking of cool things because of a game. Again, I didn't want it to be a traditional treasure hunt where there's just one thing and you go out and do all this hunting. I thought, what if your phone could turn into a compass? Wouldn't that be cool? So I made that. What if your phone could turn into a hot and cold barometer? So I made it, So I was just trying to figure out some cool, fun things that were fresh and unique and would be entertaining, but also get people out the door. So that's how it all came to be. Is like, okay, so that's when you say, Christy, like, you just went for it. Well, yeah, 5 years later, I'm like, I remember, and this is a sad story, but the guy that was in charge of my technology, my friend Simon from Hawaii, was going to take over and lead all the technology for us, got cancer and died right before I launched. And anyway, that was really hard on me. So when I launched the company, I just had enough. I'm just like, I'm not going to keep working on this, and I'm just going to launch it. And I told the rest of the people, my wife, my daughters, and my partners, I said, I'll just build this company in the air because I have spent 5 years and a lot of money. And I feel like I'm going to learn more. If I launch it, I'll learn faster, and I'll know if any of my ideas are working or not working. So yeah, I launched it on January 1st, and steep learning curve. That ain't working.
Well, and what I meant by jumping in is Mike and I have been doing hunts for about 5 years now. We started with a couple $100 hunt, then we went to 500. We have a hunt now, $2,000-$3,000. What I mean by you jumped in, you had a lot of groundwork, but you've put out millions. I mean, there's $1 million hunt and a $200,000 hunt, and oh my, there's another $1 million, and there's another so that's what I mean by jumping in. You didn't start small.
I probably went out the gate too fast on that too. I'm learning, but I just felt like there was already lots of treasure hunts that were in different ranges that had been done by region, because I live near Utah and they do a lot of treasure hunts. And so I was just trying to be an alternative to the lottery. I was trying to prove my vision. Like, well, what if I could get 1,000 people to win $1 million? That would be a cool thing to pull off in this country. That would help a lot of people. And so I was kind of shooting for that out of the gate and went for it. And then when people start finding them so fast, you can see I'm like, oh, wait a minute, we got to go to 200,000 or 300,000. So I'm scrambling to learn as we go. Eventually, I hope to get all of them back up to where my vision is, though.
Nice.
So would you say so far it's been a success as where you are now from when you launched in January?
Well, lots of things would be measured as success. I've had a lot of challenges. I still have challenges every day. Financially, it's not going to be a success for quite a while, I don't think, until something takes off. But it's super expensive the way I'm doing it. The way I built it, the platform to run it, the technology team that has to keep it going and improve it. So a lot of things are on the back burner that I can't afford, and that would help this blow up. More marketing, all that stuff. But at least I have the people we do have. We have quite a few now. The majority of them love it, and they're very loyal, and they understand that Dirk's being honest. He's just doing this. I didn't have to do this, right? I could have just made TV shows and retired probably here in a few years. But
this is your own money you're putting up, correct?
Yeah, and my partners. I have 4 friends now. It wasn't me and 3 friends, but I had to bring in a 4th friend because people were starting to find him too fast. So I had to bring in a 4th friend. I'm like, and they're all like, they believe in the vision, they believe in the mission and the business plan. They know I'm a successful guy and that I will eventually get there. But right now, lots of things are successful, and lots of things were like, oh boy, we got to get through this stage. This is a tough stage we're in right now because of how fast people are winning.
Okay.
Because people go all in. That's one thing. This community is rather unique in one. And I say this in a nice way, gaming the system. They're finding loopholes. They're finding ways that you probably didn't intend. Like the circle clues used to be able to be unlimited, and people game that and did some things that you're not intending. You're intending people to get out, have fun, go by the rules. But I want to transition a little bit, and that's why our interview will be a little different. I reached out to people that, one, were considering, or two, that are in the hunts, and said, what questions would you have? I will tell you, over half of the questions I received, I got about 50 or 60 questions. Out of those people, over half was, I really don't want to be disqualified. And there's so many rules, and I think I might be if I do X. And it's usually, can I say if I get a green circle, or will that get me disqualified? Outside of the platform, I'm learning. Outside of the platform, can they talk about this? I think they want to market on your behalf, but they're so worried they don't want to be disqualified, voted off the island. They like the island of treasure games. So what do you say that in general on the disqualification part?
Thank you for speaking in TV terms. I understood that Survivor reference, not being voted off the island. And you were right on about the treasure hunting community. I was not prepared for their ability to figure things out and gamify, and learn how to, and it wasn't really exploiting it. If anything, it was my ignorance, right? It was like, well, if he's going to put it all out there, we're going to do it. And so good learning curve for me all along here. But disqualifying, I get that. I totally get that. And what I would say that, there is some common sense here. If people are paying for the clues and the poem and those things, then they shouldn't be sharing them in public places or with strangers or with other treasure hunters that aren't on their official team. That's money that stays in treasure games. That's where you pay for that. It should stay in there. And even inside there, you shouldn't be sharing that with other treasure hunters that aren't on your team, because then they might win, right? And you're giving it away. So I just recently opened our Facebook page and inside the platform and changed the rules that you could share stuff after a region is closed and the lamp's found. You can share what you want in those two forums, not outside of those on public places or other social media. But you can come to our Facebook group, or you can come to the Treasure Games platform, and you can talk about the clues you didn't get, or how the poem worked, or how you did. But I think some people are figuring it out, because like today, or when the advantage clue is activated on day 30 for this active region right now, people are like, got a green, and that was, they didn't say where they got the green or how they got the green, but to the people playing the game, they knew that they hit 100-mile radius with their choice, which means they're excited, and that's okay. And someone else said, back to the drawing board. Well, that means they didn't get a green. So they're finding ways to do that. But I just today clarified the team thing, and I'm still evolving that. It's new to me. When I started this as a game, I'm like, well, families will play, friends will play, but I didn't really officially think of teams. I was thinking way down the road, I'll probably have professional treasure hunters using treasure games to find all kinds of treasures that we put up. But I just want people to have fun, and so that's what I was thinking. But now I am thinking about teams, because there's been a disadvantage that I'm trying to correct. But anyways, I'll get into that later when you ask me about the advantage clues more, if you do. But the team thing for me is this right now, currently. I would put it this way. We had our first team win that you're going to talk about, it sounds like. And I'm still dealing with that, and I'm glad. I'm very happy about it. But it's teaching me things. So what I can warn people is, if you're a team and you win, I'm going to ask for proof. Like, who was on your team? Where's your correspondence? Who are you sharing it with? And here's the problem. If you broke the rules and you talk to other people and you win, when you come forward to claim it, someone else is going to come forward and tell me I shared with them. And you're all going to be disqualified.
But you can talk within your team. You just can't talk outside of your team.
But that's how you can kind of go, oh, I can see how he can, at least now he can kind of know if we're talking outside of this, because he's right. If I was sharing and getting information and then I went off and won, this person's coming forward and telling Dirk she was talking out of it and I deserve part of that treasure. And I'm going to say, well, you're all disqualified because that's against the rules. But your own team is fine. Like your family, you should be able to document. The family that won in Colorado Springs showed me all their group text. It was just his wife and daughters, right? There's 5 of them. That was the team. It was very official and proven. This team that won had proof. Like, this is us. We're established here. And I asked for things that I wouldn't have normally asked from a couple that were playing together. I'm like, show me your correspondence. Show me your pictures. Show me how you guys worked it out together. Because they'd be risking it right now if we go to a press conference and someone says, well, I was part of that team and you didn't include me.
Right.
Well, what happened? This is interesting, because in our treasure hunt right now, I cannot believe the stuff on the back end. And since we know so many of these people, we've either searched events, etc., been searchers with them. We've had some teams break up and then other teams form. You really can't do that on your hunt. I'm here like that.
Not unless they would all have to agree to split the prize then. And they would have to come forward and say, yeah, we're going to do what's right here. They were part of this, and we're not going to, they would have to work that out with me so that I'm convinced that it's the right thing to do. And then I would do that. But that's the evolution of me learning about teams. Because what I don't want to do is fill out another form and register your team and then update. I don't really want to get into that if I don't have to. I would hate to go that far. I think when people realize what I'm saying tonight, which is the first time I'm saying this out loud in a public forum, I think they're going to go, oh, that is smart. If we make a mistake and start sharing with people, they're going to come forward if we win. It's not a problem if you don't win. I may never know.
Yeah.
Have
well,
you
now going back,
anyone yet?
What's that?
Have you had to disqualify anybody yet?
I thought I was gonna have to disqualify the recent Region 10 family. Before I met them, I thought this can't be. There's no way. And I was worried that I was gonna have to disqualify someone because of how fast it was found and the way it was hidden. And so that kind of bothered me in my head. I'm like, oh, I think I'm gonna have my first disqualification here. They better have a good story and proof.
Was that the one that was under the bridge and fell down?
Yeah, so that was I didn't know about the environmental part when it was found. I just got the lamp found notification, and it was so soon, and I knew how it was hidden, and there was no way you would have to have
Wow.
figured out the poem and tell me how you figured it out. You'd be the first to be able to really do that, because the clues that came out up to that point wouldn't have got you there. So how would you have done it? Even with a rangefinder, it only gets you within 100 miles. There's no way.
Their story
And
was so
so
cool,
I
though.
didn't know about the Mother Nature element. That
Yeah.
was the missing piece. And she didn't know either. The lady who found it didn't know that it wasn't supposed to be there. She thought it was odd that it was sitting on the ground, but what was she going to say? Like, hey, it's right here. Good for her. So
they just got lucky, in other words.
Yeah, but I had a hard time with that one because, it could go either way. People could say, well, it fell from where you hit it. You could pause the game, stop it, and say they're disqualified, but they really didn't do anything wrong.
Right.
And it was out of their control. It was literally out of my control. And so I had to think about it real hard. And I thought, well, I'm going to treat this the way I would treat any treasure hunter that found it. Like, prove to me that why you were there. Why were you even in that area?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because did someone know you? Do you know someone? Did I know? All that has to be vetted really hard. But when you get through the end of that process and you go, it's just a good family that happened to be there on the day it fell out.
Right.
Just know that any of you treasure hunters would have found it, would have been treated the same way by me. When I got to the end, I thought, I can't in my heart, even though I didn't want to spend the money that fast, that really hurt me.
Yeah.
I couldn't in my heart go, well, they did something wrong.
Yeah.
And so it was another one of those hard lessons for me, is like, well, I need to write something, the rules, like if something moves from where I put it, I have the right to, da.
That's fair.
So I just did what I thought was right in that, but that was the closest I've come into disqualifying somebody. But that was just me thinking I was going to have to, because I didn't understand how they could have found it.
Well, now going back, you answered that you started the Facebook and people can talk inside the Facebook. Generally speaking, like we have a Discord that has hundreds and hundreds, and we have a private Facebook group that has thousands. We have YouTube that has thousands, etc. Why? So they talk very generally, just how excited they are about treasure games. But we have other hunts that there is constant talk, excitement, etc. And they're really hesitant because they're like, I can talk in the Facebook, I can talk in the platform, and that's it. Why can't they? What's the risk?
Well, they should be able to talk about treasure games in any of your groups or any groups.
Okay.
They just can't talk about the things, the clues, and the vital information that they pay for.
Right.
Okay.
That makes sense.
That they would share for free with 1,000 people. Like, well, here's the answer to the clues. Now go find it and then sign up.
Okay.
And I won't be in business. So
Well, so let's talk about the teams. The teams, one of the concerns that I've gotten is I work individually, so I get one proximity clue. I think it's a month or whatever the time frame is. There's a team of 5, and that means they get 5. I only get 1 and they get 5. Is that equitable or equal, or have you considered that?
Yeah, it's a problem. It's a big problem, and I think I have a solution for it. So you're hearing it. Everything's first on this Cowlazars.
Yeah, breaking news.
That's right. That's what we do on this show. Breaking news.
I hope I get a recording so I don't have to repeat this later. Yeah. But since I like to do it all in one shot. Anyways, so let me explain the rangefinders, what they're talking about. It's like you can buy $4.99 100-mile pin and then a 50-mile later and so on. So when I first started it was unlimited, and then it was like, oh, that's not working. People are buying the heck out of it, and they're not even solving the clues. They're not having the fun of the poem and the clues that my family's writing. And so it's like, we got to have more dynamics to this game. You need to use all the elements, not just one. But the spectrum, like, I'll just give you a number. There's over 20,000 people that have made accounts. Most of them are free.
Wow. Okay. Accounts. The trial.
So like a percentage of that are paid accounts, but I would say the majority are still free, which tells me that there's someone paying and then they have a team or a family that's playing, right?
Okay.
So, see what I mean? And it'll keep going up like that. And I'm fine with that. I don't think everyone in a family should have to have a subscription. That's like having everyone have a Netflix subscription, lives in the same house. You don't want that. But we need to get more paid people so I get the sponsors. But anyways, so when I realized how they were kind of exploiting that advantage clue, I thought, well, I'm going to slow that down. And when I did that version, I put in the rules, well, you can't just make a bunch of accounts. Like literally people have to pay and sign up. And if they do, they can't use it and then leave the game because you won't win. So I was trying to control it the best I could. But right after I did it, it became obvious that these people were willing to add a whole bunch of people, you know, for the rest of the game, because the game wasn't going to last that much longer because they had all these pins they were dropping.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying? So I'm like, well, that's not going to work. So when there was a few people that wrote away and complained like, hey, that's not fair. And I agree. And here's the thing is, I want people to understand, if there's 20,000 opinions going on at me right now, which there are, there's a spectrum that want no advantage clues. And there's the spectrum that want only advantage clues. They don't want to do the work, right? And then I'm in the middle trying to make the most engaging game all along the adventure. How do you have things come out all along the way that are fun? And, you know, like as you go, more things unlock and it becomes a really cool experience. And so I'm trying to find that balance. So right now, this is probably going to shock some people, but when I launch the next region that I'm working on, I'm considering having no advantage clues just for that region, so I learn some things about the daily clues and the poem and how long it would take without the advantage clues. I'm going back to the advantage clues. Don't get your hopes up, people. But I want to try one without it, just so I have a learning experience for me.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
I am going to come back right after that with a new model for the advantage clues, which will level the playing field at least with the rangefinder. So it won't matter. You could have 100 people. There'll be the same amount of things to purchase. Just like the treasure views only have 5, 5 2-packs you can buy. It's going to be similar when I get done with this 3.0 version of the rangefinder. It'll be limited, so it won't matter if you have 100 people or 10 people or 1. You'll still have the same option to buy at the same frequency. So I am working on that.
Nice.
But it speaks to what people keep hearing from me. Dirk is honest. He's building it as he goes. He listens. He's trying to figure it out. He's trying to hit his mission, his vision. And it's not perfect. I never said it was. In fact, I've said the opposite. I said it's going to have a lot of problems and flaws, and I'm going to keep fixing them as I go. And that's what I'll do.
Well, and here's one that I think is the most probably negative for you. I know the searcher that has been particularly critical of the circle, because she got a circle that was green and it was just outside the circle. So it was technically not in the circle she was given. I did a ton of research and I think I figured out what it is, but I think a lot of people are confused by it. So it really, I have to say, when I saw where it was found and the circle was green, it wasn't in it, I'm like, oh, this is what? This is a scam. And then I really dug into the purple circle, etc. So you get a circle, let's say it's 50 miles in radius. That circle has another circle to it, which the circle of where the treasure is, let's say, is 5 miles in radius. So your circle could hit that purple, and so it turns green, but you are literally on the cusp of where the treasure actually is. So your 50-mile circle, you should be making it at least 55 miles or 60, whatever it is. So technically it is possible for you to get a green circle and it not be in that circle, correct?
Sort of, but you're close. Here's what I would say. Disclaimer at the top. If you read the advantage clues, it explains all the reasons now why it may not be 100% accurate. And if you choose to use it after reading that, which you have to read and agree to, and if you didn't, that's on you. But it says, just know, for example, let's say what year your phone is, what type of phone you're using, where you're standing, is it updated? Do you have your GPS turned off or on? There's a million things that affect this. And are we pushing an update right when you use it? Okay, so I disclaimed all that. And I said, just understand, we're trying to be as accurate as possible, but I can list a dozen things that impact that. Okay, so just know it could not be. However, I will say this, every single person so far that has come to us and provided their history and the circles, we have not found one that wasn't within the way it works. So it is a misunderstanding. And so it's hard to explain. That's why I wrote a big, long document with images and examples. And even yesterday or today, someone on Facebook was trying to get me to explain, go, here's a link. Did you read this page? And he comes back and goes, no, I didn't even read this page. I'm like, well, why do I do the work? You know, it's like, there's 20,000 of you, one of me. I can't explain it to all of you individually. It's there for you. But think about it this way. In the newest version, the lamp is hidden somewhere in a 10-mile radius. That means from the center out. That's 20 miles across, right? So the lamp's hidden in there. The advantage clue is going off another 10-mile radius.
Okay.
So now it's going off the perimeter of this outer 10-mile radius. So now we're 20 miles out, 40 miles across. So if you drop a 100-mile pin and it touches that, you could still have a blank on your map of 40 more miles that it didn't hit, and go, it wasn't even in the green. Like, yeah, that's right. But it hit the perimeter of what we're bouncing it off against if you read the instructions and you understand how it works. And think about 100 miles, like from the center out, that's a 200-mile circle. Mm-hmm. Everyone thinks, that's a long way. So then you add in the whole 40 across that one, it could be 240 to the other side of that. So I think a lot of people don't understand that. And so...
Yeah, and that was the one that I had to dig into the most to everything. It's so clear now. But
well, people are saying that. The last two people have said what I'm saying. They said, we're doing a better job of giving examples and images and trying to explain it. And it'll keep getting better, of course. But there's how humans are, right? Some minds they open the box and they throw the instructions away.
Right.
And they start putting it together. And some people are like, don't even start with this bolt until you've read the whole detail.
Right.
In Spanish, and it's like in between all that is all these personalities. And so they all just want a quick answer. Like, tell us how, why didn't this work? And this is off and it's a scam. It's like, it's not a scam. I'm not going anywhere. At my age, I've been doing this business this is my 7th company. Where would I go? I've been with my wife for 40 years. I'm a very consistent, stable person. Okay. So all my relationships, all my companies are still going. Nice. There's your sign. So all I can do is say, read the stuff, ask your questions, but please read it first and try to understand it, because there's such a small team to answer everyone's questions. But literally once in a while, we do have a problem. And I jump on those. Like if we have a glitch, like a good one is the clues. Like we get this a lot, but people are like, this clue isn't working, your text's not working. I've typed in, this is the answer. And then I'll go, the people make the clues live in this house, and I'll go look in the back end and I go, well, what they're saying isn't the answer, but they're sure it is. But once in a while, I will have a tech issue, and it will be on us, and we'll fix it as fast as we can. I'll give you an example of one that recently happened like a month ago, was the latest one. Apple iPhone, I didn't know this, but an apostrophe was in the answer to the clue. It was like Jimmy John's, and it had an apostrophe in it. And Apple has 4 apostrophes and Android chooses the right one for you. And I didn't know that. And so people were typing it in and they couldn't get it and they couldn't get it. And I'm like,
and that's why Android's better. Okay.
Yeah. So things like that. Exactly. So things like that happen. And it's not a scam. It's like, it's a problem, and we're learning and we'll fix it, people.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay. So some more particular questions. There is a heated debate on whether you put intentional red herrings in your hints or not. Some say absolutely yes. Some say, no, I've kind of figured out. Some are a little bit more clear than others, but it is, and feel free to not answer any of these, but and that's going to be the follow-up question, because you don't give out the solution from your perspective. And that is the other question, but let's start with intentional red herrings. And since you haven't given out the solution, why?
No, I'm going to answer all of that, because I told you when I met you, Chris, you can ask me whatever you want.
That's awesome.
I'm a guy you can see his vision, right? You can see it. Like he's telling you what he's doing, and he's doing it. And you can come in at any point in my process and you'll see me still doing the vision. So for the clues, I got this question today, and whenever I have time in between meetings, I'll try to go out to Facebook and I'll try to answer some of those questions if I can. And one of them was this. And so today's the first day I've answered it. And what I love is there's a lot of diehard treasure games players who will answer things. And most of the time they're right. And it's nice, because I don't have time to go do it. And I appreciate all you treasure games loyalists who are like, hey, Dirk said this, or it's in the rules. I love them answering it for me. But in this particular case, this person wasn't exactly right on the answer. So someone said, are some of the clues supposed to be misleading? And someone wrote, yes, they are. And some aren't. Some are, some aren't. And I appreciate them trying to help. But I wrote the right answer, or to clarify, is this. And this will make sense to everybody. All the clues, the daily clues, are not red herrings. They have a purpose. The problem is the games aren't going on long enough for you to figure it out.
Right.
Okay.
Right. I could see that. Yeah.
That's the problem. Only game 1 because we're doing 4 clues a day, went to 350 clues. We haven't made it past like 100 clues now, because if we do, which is why I want to do that next region without any advantage clues, I want people to learn like, oh, it doesn't make sense the first 30 days. But now it's starting to show me something. It's, I'm not going to tell you what it does, but they do have a purpose as the game goes on. They aren't going to make sense in the first 30 days because we don't want people finding these treasures in 30 days. It will go out of business, right? And so it's like, no, this is a game that should last a while and be a journey for you and for me. I want people to have all the elements of gameplay. And so, yeah, if we could go longer than 43 days or 29 days, guess what? Every clue we put out has a purpose. It's not a red herring. However, the poem, not everything in there is going to be accurate, right? Some of that might be red herrings. So I'll leave you with that.
Okay.
Yeah, we have a multi-part process to we call it the invitation, our treasure hunt right now. And some people were saying some things like, generally speaking, but others hadn't gotten that far yet because it was a multi-step process.
Exactly.
So I know exactly what you mean. They're like, and we put out a hint. And some people said, your hint makes absolutely no sense. It's like, you haven't gotten there yet. But the people that had gotten that far, they're like, this is awesome. Thank you. So I know exactly what you mean.
What got me was like new people joining. Were joining when I had Region 10 going. It was just going crazy, like 1,000 people a week signing up. And so that's why I'm going back there, by the way, pretty fast. But because there was so much engagement in that region. Plus, they just had the hurricane. It'd probably be good for them. Things clear up. But anyways, there was people joining and they didn't understand. And so they would solve 2 easy clues and get in their car and drive. And I'm like, don't do that. These clues are all.
But it's so fun.
But you have to put them all together over time with the poem, and then the puzzle, piece it together, and then go, oh, now I see how it all fits. You can't just go, well, I solved this, and it's in Iowa, so I'm going to the stadium. It's like, no, don't spend your money driving out there. I couldn't believe that. I'm like, it's got to, so I don't know what to do with those things when they happen. I'm like, there's more going on here, people. And because it's a game and not just like a traditional treasure hunt, I can't disclose how we do it or why we do it. I don't mind in the future, for example, when I have more time and resources, I don't mind disclosing the answers to the daily clues. I don't mind that. The poem's never going to happen, and I can explain more about that. But the daily clues, what I like is that because Dirk didn't have time and the resources to give you all the answers, it's not his priority right now. His priority is keeping the company going so I can keep providing this. It's not that. And so I like that they now have a Facebook group or your Discord group or wherever, you know what I mean? It's like where they can talk about things after they're closed. You know what I mean? It's like they should do that in the Treasure Games Facebook group. They should go in there and solve the clues together. That's fine with me.
And so that's okay to do. Okay, great.
No, I didn't mean to say your Discord group. I'm sorry. I meant to say if they're going to talk clues, they should do it in ours.
Okay.
But they can talk about everything else in yours and everyone else's. But they should literally be like, hey, we all played the game. We're all part of this group and we all paid. So let's now solve them together. That's going on right now. It just started because I said it was okay because I didn't have a place for them to do it really. Now I do. But down the road, as this company matures, I'll have a person who can spend time and go, okay, here's the process. We're going to start selling you, here's the clues, here's the answers. But even then, I'm probably going to not let them put them out right away because I want people to have fun saying what they figured out. Share what you figured out. How many did you figure out of 200 clues, and share that with people like, that's so nice of you to help me and how you figured it out. Why should I just give it to you?
Yeah, like maybe 3 months or 6 months.
So here's all the answers.
And then 6 months out or a year out, you say, okay, here's the solution. That's okay. Exactly. I like that. Now, we do have a couple people that either want to take someone that might not be physically fit or maybe a disabled, an elderly parent, someone, or littler kids. Do you have a general rule of thumb of, like Forrest said in the Forrest Fen treasure hunt, you shouldn't be walking more than a mile or hiking more than a mile because you're hiking too far then. Do you have a general, like I've been on one of the Utah hunts. I physically could not make it. My son had no problem whatsoever. We went like 3 miles hiking straight up a hill and I was like, oh my gosh. And it was a little bit further out than that. Do you have a general rule of thumb of how far someone just to be prepared, would or could go kind of off trail where they're hiking or walking?
No, I don't have an answer for that because I don't know how this is going to evolve. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
what 9 months old, and I have a lot of moving parts. Here's what I would say that I do know is that we don't claim to be handicap accessible. However, one of our main players is in a wheelchair, and she plays with her boyfriend, and that's what my answer is to people who ask me, like, you can play with a team, you can get a partner, but
Mhm.
a big part of this game is played at home on the computer, on your phone, solving, doing research. And then when you go out, right now, most things you can get within a couple feet of, even if you were in a wheelchair. But yeah, I'm not claiming that everything's
Okay.
going to be accessible. Number one. Number two, so far everything has been much closer than what you just described. You know, you don't have to hike for a mile, but I would like to hold out that as the game evolves, that I might, once I get to the point where I got a whole state allowing me to hide it where I want, yeah, I'm an adventure guy. I probably will put one out there a ways. It'll never be dangerous. It'll be
Right.
accessible. Like it won't be like a excessive hike, but it could be out of ways. I wouldn't mind doing that once in a while. So I'm not going to say no that I don't do that
Okay.
because I don't know. The other caveat I would say is I might just have a new game that come out that's not Wish Lamps. That's all way out there. Like the whole game is like everything's remote. I don't know. That's the fun of building a platform like I did and spent all the money. Because when I have an idea for a new game, which I already have 4 more I'm working on, I might say this one is all adventure, like totally hiking boots.
Like the extreme one.
Yeah,
Extreme
for those
treasure.
people that want that, like you're gonna
Yeah.
have to go 3 miles just to get close.
Nice. Okay.
Can you say when the next region is going to start?
That's my next question. Yeah.
I'm working on region
What is
10.
it? Region 10. What
Region
what's-
10 again, the one in Florida and South Carolina, North Carolina, Georgia, the one that got hit. And it's because I was so bummed that I hit that one so well and it fell. And it fell at a time when we were getting so much traction for this company. And like I said, there's 1,000 people a week signing up. And it went on for 4 weeks and then it fell out and someone's,
Right.
And so at that point, I was like, oh man, we were having such good, people were responding. They were loving it. They were engaged with it. They were finding us. And that has to happen for this company to grow so I can get sponsors, so I can open all the regions all the time. If I don't get subscribers to a certain level, I'll never get the sponsors.
Right.
And I can only keep funding this with my friends for so long.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was so devastating to me from a business standpoint and financially, is like, oh my God, they found it already. It was hidden so well. How could they have found it? And they did. And like I said, I already told you that was just out of their control and mine. So if you do the right thing, no matter what it costs you have to do the right thing. So anyways, I want to go back to Region 10. I'm going to try some new things there, and one of them will be no advantage clues. But so that's the one I'm going to open next, and I'm working on it right now. I was hoping to have it open already, but I don't. So as soon as I can, I'll
So
open
maybe
it.
by the end of the year, you think?
I'm hoping to open it before the end of the year. Yeah.
Nice.
Okay. I guess snow isn't really an issue down in that region, is it?
No, but we're working on opening as many as we can on January 1st. By the way.
Oh, okay. But we're in Las Vegas, Nevada, so we're waiting on Region 6.
We are.
Would you get me some locations down there? Because I would like.
We will for sure. Yeah.
Our backyard.
I'd like to hide one in Vegas. I just got to tell you that. So.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So Christy is more into this than I am. So Region 1 is currently open. Region 4 is the one that was found? Or
Region 4 was the one that was found up in Upper Michigan by our first team ever.
Gotcha.
Team
So
Rogue. I know a lot of you are in the chat. Team Rogue.
So right now, Region 1 is the only one that's active currently, and that's for the 200,000. It went live on September 1st. Okay, got it. Hopefully Region 10 by the end of the year. And now, do you have a vision of what you're going to do beyond Wish Lamps, or you're just focusing on this for now?
No, I have a vision for my next game that I want to release because it's so cool, but I got to make sure I can afford to even finish Wish Lamps. Okay. By the way, I'm sitting here looking at a Wish Lamp, and for those of you who haven't seen it, so there it is.
Tiny little thing. That's huge.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's heavy too. Everyone that finds one holds it. In fact, the people who win hate to give these up because they feel so cool. They're made of bronze. They're heavy and they're patented, and they're made in a foundry here in Montana. So I designed this. I designed this with my partner on a 3D printer, and then we had to figure out how to make one. That took a long time to figure that out. But anyway,
they can't keep them.
No, they keep a smaller version that has winter embossed on it, but it's a symbol of me putting it back out to spread well. So I don't want people taking. I want them giving it back so that I can keep giving. So
Okay.
it's a symbol of who gets it next. So there's no way to keep it, but you get a smaller one of these that's real and it says winner on it. But this one always goes back out to someone else needs to find it and have their claim to win some money.
And I should apologize. Some people were confused. So there are some treasure hunters that work on lots of different hunts. We, I think, have about 12 going right now that we're watching on our Discord and we cover. And there are some people that are like-minded enough that they have formed teams. And whether it's a $500 hunt or a $1 million hunt, they have a team. And just like my handle is KPro, they're the team that won is the team's name is Team Rogue. And so, and they're the ones that Dirk just announced this week who had won. And I'm sure there'll be an upcoming. Well, that's going to be one of my questions. You cannot remain anonymous because you're talking about $1 million. Some people would want to. That's not an option, correct?
Not an option because I need help promoting treasure games and I want people to know it's real.
Okay.
You know, so
Yeah,
it's a privately held company and I'm doing things that no one else has done. And I'm putting up my own money, my friends' money. So we need it to be successful. So the least you can do if we're giving you $200,000 or $1 million is help promote it and tell people this guy's real.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. And you're telling them up front, which is fair. It's not like you're changing the rules. And now if you win, you cannot participate in your wish lamps for a year, correct?
right now you can't, but when we get to full capacity, you only have to sit out a season. So ideally, it's designed to be played in 6-month seasons, 2 per calendar year. So if you want in the first 6 months, you could win the second one, but you couldn't win because imagine I have 10 regions, but in the future I want to have 50 in this country. So every state would have its own lamp. And so imagine if you won one of those 50, you couldn't win that first 6 months again, but you could win the second. That's the way it's going to be when we get to full capacity. Right now, we're staggering things because we're just startup and we're trying to get there. So on the way to capacity, I had to make a rule like it wouldn't be fair if you won and you win and won again. That would not be what I'm trying to build. I'm trying to spread wealth. But trust me, when I get to full capacity, I'm going to ratchet that back so that you can win 2 lamps a year. If there's 50 and 50, that's 100. You know, 50 a season, that's 100 lamps. People could win 2 a year. I wouldn't mind that. But also keep in mind that there's other games. So as the other games roll out, maybe you can't find a lamp for a year, but you're playing the second game and the third game and the fourth game. So eventually,
Team Rogue's just going to have to sit tight on other hunts for a little bit.
They'll probably still play. They just can't win. But I met them. I think they'll solve the clues and they'll probably be talking to each other. But they're going to have to sit out until we get to capacity or I launch my second game.
Any plans to have any of the future games be totally armchair, or you want people to go boots on the ground and get out?
I don't have any plans to go totally armchair except for way down the road. There'll probably be a video game version of treasure games for people to sit around and play, but it's not a priority to me. What is a priority to me is getting this company to be successful and proving that I can have 1,000 winners at $1 million per year instead of 8 people winning like happens in the lottery. That's the top prize is won on average 8 times. I want 1,000 people winning in our games. Right. So I want to prove that first. And then I'll worry about video games and TV shows and all those things that people, keep bringing up to me. It's like, those are low hanging fruit. The hard part is doing what I'm doing right now is like, getting people to know about us, adopt it, play it, and then scale it to where I bring in these corporate sponsors that'll pay for the whole thing. I've said this all along. You guys, I don't know if the subscribers have heard it, but I'm saying it to my team, which is a small group of people and my partners. And I'm like, this is my goal. When I want to be the first global leader of a global company who gets to the point where he lowers the subscription fees. I want to be the only one. So I want to look at all the other leaders who are still raising your subscription fees, Netflix, Hulu, whatever. You know what I mean? It just keeps going up and up. Disney. I want to look at all of them and go, hey, I got an announcement today. Your subscription fees are going down. I want to be that guy. And show the world that there's a different path. The lottery is the same. 30 years later, reach in your pocket. When we get to sponsors, I can start lowering subscription fees at some point. I'll never lower it to 0 because I want people to have an investment in making the world better, because part of our profits are going to go to making the world better, and I'm going to film that whole thing. And so they should help with that. So it'll never go to 0.
Okay, a couple other questions is, which I thought these were kind of cool. What story have you, and this could be internal operations or one of the winners, what's been the most aspiring story since you've launched this platform? Really, it's an experience for whomever. What's inspired you the most?
Thank you for calling it a platform.
I learn it. Sometimes I have to be repeated, but I learn.
Just a little pet peeve. Like, I spent a lot of money. It's not an app.
I'm never going to say that again.
It's like saying Netflix is an app. They have an app, so do I. I have an app, but I have a platform. It works without your phone, people. Inspiring. There's been a lot of inspiring stuff that has happened. You know, I shared this in last press conference, but when Ron and Michelle won the first Wish Lamp ever in 88 days in Dallas, and I got to watch it live on the security footage, and I got to see their excitement and a human being change their life. That's the reason I even shared the security footage, because I felt privileged to see it happening in real time. Nice. And then when Fernie won in Colorado, and you could hear him, he lost his breath. He went, and then he cried. Those things moved me. You know, they fuel me to do what I said I was going to do, which is spread wealth to more people that need it. When this lady who just won, Melissa, told me that she had just filed for food stamps, and the first time in her life, the day before she found Treasure Games.
Wow.
Those things move me. Yeah. And they make me, they help with the 7-day weeks that I work 7 days a week, long days, long hours, trying to run my other company to pay for this company and keep up with everything. And my poor family doesn't get to see me much right now. I'm sure they wish I hadn't have built this company in some ways, but they also see the good. Like, they'll see those moments, or they'll see someone post something on the watch section, the entertainment section. They'll see a treasurer post something like, "Hey, we're out here with my family. There's 4 generations of us," and it lifts your spirit. It's fun. It's like, and when someone said, "Hey, even if we don't win, the time I had with my son today, you know, or with my daughter, or with my mom," it's like, those things are inspiring to me, and I know we're changing lives, and I can't wait till we're changing 1,000 lives. And plus, get a load of this. When our treasure hunters go to those communities, they help those businesses, those small businesses. And we're writing clues about some of the smallest little cafes and out of the way places. I mean, look at the place they founded up in Alouez, a small rock shop in the middle of nowhere. This guy's in his 80s. And we were driving people in there, and they were all buying rocks. You know, they were stopping in that rock shop.
Oh, I'm going to get Willie's Tacos. I mean, when she's like, "That's Willie's Tacos," I just thought, if I'm ever in that area, I'm going to Willie's Tacos, just because she was so excited about Willie's Tacos.
I tried to go there because I wanted to go there while I was there for the press conference, and it was closed the day I had opened. But anyway, those are all the things that inspire me. And there's one more thing that inspires me a lot about this company, Treasure Games, and that is that out of 7 companies I've built, I've had some neat companies, and I've had some rewarding things, but I've never once, not only have I never once built a company, nor have I heard of a company that gets as many people writing in thanking us ever. Like, when we put up our support portal for people to write in, support is where people go to complain. That's where they go, like, "Hey, I got a problem, something's not working." And I remember the first time someone wrote in and said, "I just want to tell you how cool this is, and to have something positive and inspiring and uplifting. You know, what you're doing is major cool. Thanks for bringing it to the world." I read it like 5 times, like, well, where's the complaint? Is there a complaint in here? Is there a question? It was just thank you. And since that day, it just happens throughout the week all the time. And that is very inspiring to me, because you don't hear that in business. You just don't hear that. People don't say thank you. They don't say, "We're grateful that you're doing this," or write in and say, "You're changing people's lives and we want to support it." That, to me, is the first time I've ever experienced it in that degree.
Nice.
And we got a couple super chats I want to go through real quick, but I just want to say, me and Christy heard about this at the beginning of this year when you first started. We were skeptical. We were like, Wish Lamps at 1.2 million. But now, I mean, you're getting the word out. We know you're legit. You're definitely an honest guy. You're just trying to make this work. So thank you for coming on. We really appreciate it. And we really appreciate what you're doing. I mean, what you're doing is huge for these people that you've changed their lives, and for the treasure hunting community to have the hope, you know, to find one of these.
Thank you. Thank you for helping me.
I agree
Yeah.
with you with the one story where the family moved and they had the kids with them and they're like, we hit hard times. And I mean, I'm sitting there going, I don't even know them, but I'm like crying, like, yes, they did it. And you root for that kind of story. So that's what makes it so fun. And that I will say is one of the challenges though, because when we initially did look and even up to now, like you go to your YouTube, because everything's done internally in your platform and now your Facebook, your YouTube views are so low. I'm like, this must be a scam because we
Right.
have had some people
Right.
scam and
You're
they've
like, what is
taken
going
money.
on here? Yeah.
Yeah, but now it all makes sense.
Well, I
Now,
can't afford a social media manager. I can't afford
Mhm.
marketing. You know, it's the money has to be saved for
right.
making the game available. And when there's awards, you got to take, you know, deal with all
Yeah.
that stuff. There's legal stuff, insurance. You know, one day I hope that I have money for a social media manager that just pays attention to everybody and really knocks it out of the park. And we have marketing dollars so everyone knows we exist. Right now, it's pretty still organic. Most of our money goes to the technology because I finally was able to bring it in house and have my own team. And I got to pay those guys no matter what. I mean, I don't want to lose them. It took me a while to find the best. And now that I have them, they're rebuilding everything behind the scenes and they're going to make it stronger, faster, better. And
Great.
so that's expensive. I don't know if you know how much that costs to have your own tech team, but it's a lot.
A lot.
Okay, a couple super chats. Thank you to Brad who sent the first one with no message. The Junk Underdog says, Dirk, what about a bonus Region 1 clue? He's wondering if you can give a clue live right now.
Bonus, Region 1 clue.
Region 1 clue.
Boy, I probably ruin it for everybody if I say something. I don't know how to give a clue without really not giving it away right now, but no, there's no way. So, you know, Region 1 is Alaska, Oregon, or Washington. So it's people. I'll tell you this: there are people who've got some greens on the pen. I know that. So
okay.
All right.
Bronze, our friend 3D Bronze. Hello, Dirk. 3D Bronze here. Cool lamp. Ever thought of selling small 3D printed hand painted lamps? And also sounds like you may need to hire some help. So 3D Bronze is well known in the treasure hunt community because he has a 3D printer and he has created all kinds of things that he has given away for free to the different treasure hunts. So give him a call, the 3D Bronze. Reach out. You guys
got my attention there. 3D Bronze. That's a good idea.
And he did the invitation. He made small treasure boxes and came to our event. No, he didn't go that year. He just sent them.
Yeah.
And they are such a hit. They're just little microcosms
or
of
it.
I love the idea of that. That's a great idea.
3D
and probably one of the nicest.
Just know it comes with you doing work because I don't have time and resources. But
right.
We'll figure it out.
All right.
Well, I had one last question. I'm thinking the answer is no to this, but I promised our international community. We have quite a few searchers because really treasure hunting started way back in the day in Europe. So we do have some Europeans. We have a New Zealander. We have some people from basically every continent. Are you considering going international?
Yes, absolutely. From when I wrote my business plan 5 years ago, I plan to scale. I've already talked to a couple. We're talking to people in other countries. A few of them have reached out to me, actually. Yeah, I'm just not ready to do it. But here's the thing: is that you can play wish lamps from another country right now. You would either have to come here and claim it, or be playing with someone who is here, but whoever claims it has to be here legally or a legal citizen of whatever country we're in. So in the United States, there are a couple people playing from other countries right now, and they know those are the rules. But here's what's going to happen. So those other countries aren't worried about the speed of this. As soon as I get this to where I know it's going to not, have to be shut down and it's going good, then it'll scale fast because I am going to license everything. And so that I can then take a person in the UK, a person in Australia, a person in Canada, and I can just it will provide all the infrastructure and all the, things they need. But I'm not going to go run each one of those, so that would take too long. It would be longer than my lifetime. But I am going to go directly to several countries besides the United States and help run them directly with treasure games. And all the other countries that meet the criteria, we're going to license them to people who want to run them in those countries. And so they won't have to wait long. Once I'm ready, we will expand pretty fast.
Nice. Sounds like you have a plan and you are the man to make it happen, which is everybody has a dream, but you're actually following through with it, making it happen, which is awesome.
I can't help it. I have to follow through. That's the obsession. I wanted to answer the poem question if I could, if you have time, because
sure,
I know people are going to ask me that I didn't answer it because it keeps coming up. And so here's the deal. This is just my view on why I'm doing what I'm doing. I already said that down the road, I would be happy answering the daily clues at a certain point. And right now I'm saying I would never answer the poem. And I might change my mind 10 years from now and put out a book about it. Who knows? Yeah. But here's the reason is that the poem, if I tell you how it's created and you get in the head of the person that creates it and you understand it, I can't keep using it. I won't be able to use it in the game anymore. And because we're repeating these things so fast, so often, here's another region, here's another region. Why would I want to take out that cool element by telling you how it's done? Here's what I can tell you. The person who writes it lives here. She sends it to me. I read it. I don't understand it. So then she has to sit in this office right in that chair and go through it 3 or 4 times and explain to me how it gets them to the location. I know the location because I hide the lamps, okay? So as long as it gets them to the location and it all makes sense and she's got it documented, then what I do is I look at it 5 more times trying to make it harder. I'm like, let's take this word out. Let's use a different word here. Let's do this. Let's try this. And sometimes it's those decisions that I didn't do that people solved it. They're like, oh, and I wish I hadn't left it in there. And I debated, and they won't figure that out. And they do. And then when I meet the winner, they go, it was that. So we're learning what works with each winner. But here's how you know it's legit is every winner has used the poem to win. Every winner then, once they won, goes back to the poem and go, oh, now I get how all this goes together, and it directly leads you here. I've never had a winner get the whole poem, even afterwards. And that's what I want. If it was that easy, I don't think I could use it over and over. So it wouldn't be part of the game element that you get to enjoy. So yes, it's legit. Yes, it'll take you to the location. But no, I'm not going to tell you how it's worked. And then here's the other thing. So many people take the poem and just put it into Chat GPT and use AI.
Right.
How fair is that to us, right? It's like, the computer scours everything and goes, oh, it's right here. So there's no way I can disclose that as part of the game. It is. But you can talk to the winners. They will validate for you, especially after they win. They go, oh, yeah, I can see now how it leads right to this place. So there you go.
And now that we have Team Rogue that we know, we would love to have them on, not them giving anything. I don't want to get them disqualified when they're able to re-engage, but are you okay if they came on? I haven't asked them yet, but
talk about their experience.
Yeah. What I don't want them to do is go to any national news outlets. I want that to happen at the press conference. Yeah. So it's kind of like, I need the national news to learn their names. I need to learn who they are, how they won, and all that kind of stuff on national news for me to promote it. Yeah. But in your group, if they wanted to, and they asked me this, they're very respectful. And I said, well, this is the first time for me, so it's a little different, But I don't mind them going on as long as someone does go on social media and go, here's the names of all the people that won, here's where they live, and here's how they found it.
Well, we would want to do it after your press conference.
Yeah. Well, then I would definitely say, yes, go for it.
Absolutely. Okay, yeah.
They've already started breaking down the poem for me, so I have the proof because I like them to do that. I like each person to do that. And I think the best one was what Ron said, and Ron and Michelle said, this poem leads you right to where we found it. He said that in his interview afterwards. Fernie stood up in the press conference and underlined the poem. He went through it and said, this. Wow. So what more do you need? I mean, and then this most recent person, Melissa, she walked through it. Between her and her husband, it was definitely the poem. But what I always say to people is the treasure views and the poem make more sense the closer you get.
Yeah. Well, this has been great. And this has really helped me because I do have to say I was a skeptic at first, just based on the view counts and that much money going out. And I really needed to dig in. But the funny part is once we connected and I saw you talk about it, it made it to me just so crystal clear. So I'm so glad you came on. It makes it, we've had hunts that people have asked to come on, and then they said you can't ask this, you can't ask this, and and it's like,
Yeah.
okay, we figured
Right.
out pretty quick why I mean, there's been flat out scams. People have said there's an app, not a platform, an app coming out, and you have to give me $50, and we had hundreds of people do it,
There
and
was
then
no
they
app.
disappeared. Yeah, they
Yeah.
disappeared. So, so we have a skeptic bunch, and I think deservedly so. But I can tell you guys, this is like K-Pro approved, Cowlazars approved, because
Yeah.
this is,
I mean,
it's pretty inspiring. It's pretty awesome.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's pretty awesome. I guess me and K-Pro got to get busy on Region 1 since we're kind of close. I
Yeah,
mean,
you better go find it before someone else finds it. That's
Yeah.
for sure. Thank you for having me and like you know, adding some legitimacy to the treasure hunting community, because I'm new to that. You know, I'm coming from a totally business mission, vision kind of thing. I wasn't inspired other than what I told you. The lottery really did it for me, and then my entertainment background wanted to make it, and then you may have heard this, but I used to own an adventure company. So I used to take people into the wilderness as a job. And so adventure is what I love. And so if I can get people outdoors, that also relates to treasure hunting. But for me, it was driven from a different place. It was driven from, I want people away from their phones and their computers and out there in nature and just moving around, right? And I love the idea of treasure hunting. I have a show back there called American Gold, The Legend of Bear Gulch, was on for 3 seasons. That's mine.
Carter just mentioned it. Yeah, for sure.
That's so, and I tried to, one of my good friends is the president of the Small Mining Association. So I know a lot about mining and gold mining and rare earth and things like that. But treasure hunting is new to me, other than my kid dreams of wanting to go treasure hunting on the island with the X and, you know, the pirates. I don't know a lot about the treasure hunting community, but I'm learning a lot. And I'm kind of getting myself some hard lessons, because they're so good at this. This Region 4, the lady on the team that found it, she found it because she's a professional treasure hunter. That's why she found it.
Yeah.
So many other people walked by this place.
Wow.
Walked right by it. And there was plenty of people there before her, but it was because of her experience and these other kinds of treasure hunts she was doing that she knew what to look for, and she knew how to check. And she you know, it makes sense when you meet her. She's awesome, by the way, this lady. And what she did, it's like, well, what are you going to do? Even my partner's like, how could anyone find that? It was hidden so well. There's no way. And I said, well, I don't think a normal person would have found it, but an experienced treasure hunter did some tricks and some things that experienced, and it worked for her, and good for her.
Yeah, we did a hunt. This was a few years back, and we had Brian Poppelman. Love him. He's an engineer for like NASA scientist. He worked 27 hours straight. He said, "I'm not going to let anyone get it before me." And it was a totally online hunt. So people submitted, and he did. He won it. But you have so many different minds. You have a musician. You have a PhD in astrophysics. And then you have them partner up together, and they're on a team together. It is amazing how quickly our hunt just hit the 6-month mark, and we're pretty proud because
you might want to teach me how you did that, because I've never.
It took. We've had stuff in a day. We've had stuff. This is our longest one so far. But it took time because people get creative, and then you add in the hacking, and you add in the loopholes. You add all that in together.
I'm dealing with a lot of hacking every day.
I
didn't expect that either. I wasn't thinking of that either. That's become a resource drain for me to deal with. Unfortunately. The other thing I wanted to say was, because you guys were talking about skeptics, is that I get it. I get that, you know, where's this guy comes out of nowhere and he's you know, wants to do this thing that sounds too good to be true. But I also want to say the other side of that, and just because it is what I'm about, is that I hope we don't live in a world that's so ruined that if a guy is really doing what I'm doing, that people can't see it. You know what I mean? Like they need to be embracing that. Like, here's a guy who's pretty strong and visionary and willing to go toe to toe with global companies, and one day stand there and say, what we ought to be doing is uniting people. And you know, that's why I don't allow comments in the platform. You can't make any comments because I don't allow negativity. And I know it hurts me because it doesn't build the community, but it's like, you know what? You can go complain and make negative comments on our Facebook page, our TikTok page, our Instagram page, on YouTube channel. But in this platform that I built, you can either love it, say nothing at all, or make a video. And when people make a video, they're not mean, because they take the time to be thoughtful and look in the camera, and they think more clearly. You know, it slows them down. But if you can just type and say something that's
keyboard warriors. Mike has a I have a quote from him on the forums, because our forums were getting pretty negative for a while. And Mike did a video, and I remember he looked in the camera, and this is why I have it under my signature, is positivity always triumphs over negativity. And it
That's
helped
true.
us all kind of reset, because everybody, it was just a dark time, the end of the forest fen hunt, all of that. These are the types of things that is going to also help our community. We have your hunt, that's the biggest ride in the treasure hunt community. We have another couple of hunts that are going to come out that are smaller, but still pretty significant. And that, it just makes it fun. This is a fun hobby. And, for you, it's a fun now career, 7-day-a-week career.
Right. Well, I just appreciate people who keep it positive, who are supportive, who are patient and understanding. And I appreciate all that. And I just say, if you're not happy with it, then please, you don't have to do it, but try to understand that I truly am trying to do something positive in the world today. And if that's hard for you to believe, then that's sad, because all the proof is there for you. You can just see me trying to put money into this, change lives, not making money. We're not making a dime. We're losing money left and right. But the mission is to spread wealth. And if I get to the capacity, I will prove it to you. When you see a second game come out, you're going to go, oh, I get it. This guy's for real. And he is spreading wealth. And, it's hard what I'm doing. It's not easy. But I love the support. And I love the people who grasp it and go like, this is for real. This guy's trying to do something. And we should have more people like that. I want more people.
And to be fair to you, I know you have a vision, but you just changing that one family's life that had kids that didn't, the one that just applied for food stamps, you have already affected the world before you even got into the scale. You want to scale, you're a visionary. I can tell you might be a perfectionist, maybe somebody that really wants to take off, but you've already done so much. That's what I think is amazing, is you've already touched, just a few families, and that we don't even get to see all the families that go out and then send you. And I thank you.
There's so many.
Yeah.
People see it. A lot of people see it. They go, this is going to be so huge in life. And I'm like, and my inside circle knows he's really not even building treasure games. He's building this other thing where he's going to be able to make a statement, where he can say, here's a place the people who want peace on earth can come. Here's a place where people can unite. That's what I'm really building. And I'm just using treasure games to give me leverage to get there. So I got to build this first. I got to make it successful. But believe me, at the end, when my time is up, you're going to see me do what I'm talking about. I'm going to have the leverage. If I get there, I'll have the leverage to say enough. Let's all humans want the same thing. Quite honestly, out of 8 billion people, 7 billion want peace. They want their families to be safe. They want us to be happy and healthy. So we should be doing that. And that's what I'm about.
Nice.
So what are you waiting for, everybody? TreasureGames.fun. Go subscribe. Go check out the platform and judge it for yourself. But thank you for coming on. I mean,
I appreciate it.
You explain it. Once we hear the vision, the overall goal, I think it makes a lot more sense for people.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate you reaching out. And I was more than happy to come talk to you guys anytime.
Okay. Awesome. All right. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. And we'll see you next time. Treasure Hunt Amusement Park. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.